Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, March 21st. We are on the European account. We didn't quite finish everything needed to be done on the Asian account, but we've got tavern brawls to do, and I'm not a considerably high amount of other things that need to be done. So, win 3 games of any class. And I only need to actually get 2 victories there. So at least one of those will get done with the Tavern Brawl. And play Priest class cards. These are 2 40 gold things. Doing the victory balls, the Tavern Brawl today gets us 3 instead of 1. So Priest class cards. Actually, this deck probably won't even have that many Priest class cards because of the way this Tavern Brawl plays. So, yeah. Not super energetic today. I guess I wore myself out shopping yesterday, and it was certainly nice, but it also means I still have yet to even start Full Throttle's second playthrough, which some of that, probably not too much, but some of that is just based on the fact that Full Throttle, in theory, in my nostalgia, I love the idea of the game. The actual game is not that good. So I'm gonna go with Mind Portal. And I'm supposed to be playing cards, so I'm just going to play cards. There's a game that came out February 20th, 2018, called Musician. Let's see. A Musician is a game that can generate animated music, and you can freely import the MIDI orbit in the game. Play your favorite music and write the music belong. Interesting, but not really interesting. This almost feels like it's supposed to be a kid's game, or some kind of, if you have a MIDI file, it would let you play something like Guitar Hero, but not as good. And the animation's not that great. And I could just see why nobody would want to buy this game. It's just not standing out from buying something like Rockstar. Like, oh, also it requires a third-party account, which shouldn't even be allowed. And also the name is in English at top, but on the buy button it's actually written in Japanese. Shouldn't have taken that card. And yeah, 5% on sale right now. No good English support, although it claims it has all the languages. Yeah, I can totally see why nobody would want to play this game. Generic name, generic looking, bad graphics. Just nothing impressive about it at all. Moving on, Gamatsu has Zone of the Enders, the second runner, Mars, that's going to launch September and launches in September in Japan for the PlayStation 4 and PC remaster. Let's see. It'll also work with PlayStation VR and Steam VR. Let's see. Lifesteal. Taunt. Zone of the Enders is a slightly popular mecha series, so I could see that coming to the West, particularly on PC. So that might happen. Komatsu has an article, Zanki Zero, Zanki, launches this summer in Japan. Let's see. PS4 and Vita. Zanki Zero is a survival game set on an island where you have to just kind of survive. Main characters are made up of 8 human clones that are the last survivors of humanity. The main characters are themed after the 7 deadly sins. So there's a pride, a laziness, gluttony. I don't know how modeled that is, though. Is it just loosely based off of, or completely, totally modeled? So I need a victory, and I need to play a bunch of priest cards, and I need to slightly pay attention to this. This is funny. It says it's a survival game, but it looks to me more like it's a... There's a screenshot here. It looks more like a RPG-ish game. So it is kind of, it has dungeons, so it's a survival game with dungeons. Interesting, slightly interesting twist, but I don't know what the market really is for survival games anymore. There's way too many of them to start with. Let's see. So we'll see if Zanki Zero comes out. Let's see. There was on Hearthstone's own website a article called Designer Insights with Peter Whalen. Enrage changes. First things first, we're removing the enrage keyword from Hearthstone. All the enrage cards will keep their effects. We're just removing them without rewarding them without the keyword. For example, Angry Chicken will read has plus attack plus 5 attack when damaged. I could see why you'd want to do this, because the enrage keyword doesn't really make enough sense, particularly if you're not a direct English speaker and you're translating it to different languages. So it doesn't, yeah, it doesn't feel like it adds too much. It could also be that they're removing the enrage keyword so that they could come back and try and reuse enrage as a keyword later on to mean something different. Our goal with the change is to clean up the game a little by removing a keyword we weren't using much, but we also wanted to take the opportunity to share some of our general philosophy on keywords. Keywords in Hearthstone are bolded words in the card text. They're words that have special meaning in the context of the game. We use them a lot. Most of our sets introduce at least one keyword, and the basic and class sets have a bunch. Why are keywords helpful? Question mark. Keywords can make learning cards easier. Once you know a keyword, you can boil down a complex idea and help you understand a new card more quickly. Keywords are flavorful. They tell a story, discover, recruit, taunt. These help the game come alive. Keywords condense card text. This leads to more readable cards that fit better in the frame. Keywords give us mechanical hooks, so we can make cards look like give your taunt minions +2+2. So why not make lots and lots of keywords? In the extreme, we could keyword everything. The Kel'Thuzulin keyword would mean at the end of your turn, summon all friendly minions that died this turn. The Doomsaying keyword would mean at the start of your turn, destroy all minions. That feels a bit silly because it is. Keywords aren't all upside. So it's worth taking a look at which keywords are worth keeping. Let's see. Ultimately, we have keywords that make cards easier to understand. The best keywords appear a lot, are flavorful, and give us useful mechanical hooks. And last year, we added 2 examples that we expect to be permanent: Poisonous and Lifesteal. You added Poisonous last year? They maybe they did. Doesn't seem like that's right. We'll play that. These are great abilities that make minions a bit more interesting. They alter combat math, change what minions you prioritize, and spice up gameplay. The full text of both of these abilities is also fairly long without a keyword. It's hard to pair them much else. And then they show a picture here of Raging Worgen, and the old way it read was Enrage, Wind Fury, and +1 attack, to has +1 attack and Wind Fury while damaged. So take a look at Enrage. Enrage means while damaged, this minion has a new power. It's on 9 cards, 6 from basic and classic sets, 2 from Whisper of the Old Gods, and 1 from Goblins vs. Gnome. Part of the reason we haven't used it much is that it's a difficult keyword to design for. Minions in Hearthstone don't survive very long, especially once they've been damaged. Instead, we favored cards with triggered abilities to encourage you to damage them multiple times, like Acolyte of Pain or Rotface. This led to more interesting gameplay as you try to maximize the number of times you can get damaged. Let's remember to play over here. Like, how well then is Enrage serving us as a keyword? First, it's not clear that Enrage is actually any easier to understand than while damaged. It's certainly flavorful though. It does shrink the card text a little. On the other hand, we haven't made any cards that key off Enrage minions and aren't likely to in the future. Overall, Enrage isn't doing very much work for us. We haven't used it in a while, and it isn't on very many cards, so we're cleaning up the game a little and removing it. Thanks for reading. We'll see you in the tavern. I don't think I should probably read entire articles like that, but that was slightly interesting. Probably the right amount of dialogue to explain clearly and thoroughly why you're making a minor change to your card game. It doesn't get too extreme. There we go. I've got an epic. 3 Kobolds and Catacombs cards for my Asian account. I mean my European account. I see. There's a decent chance. One would argue maybe about almost a 5th chance that we would see a legendary if we're gonna open 9 card packs across 3 accounts. That would be 10 cards out of theoretical 50. Although I guess the math on that is wrong. And now I kind of only need to play priest cards. So let's look here and see if we have a priest deck. We do, and we're at rank 22, so we might as well play ranked. 1 victory and some more priest cards, and then we're done with the European account. Let's see. Ben Brode, well, PC Gamer has an article that says Ben Brode answers questions in the new Hearthstone support video. It's not really a support video. I think it's mostly a joke and riff on people asking questions. So responding to your comments type video. Like the first question, I can't hear it right now, but the first question was, does nobody have a better idea than the coin for the second player? I would argue the coin has been the best thing that they could think of. And I can't honestly think of anything better to keep the game balanced. This is a 16-minute video of looking at Ben Brode talk. So sadly, because I can't hear him, I'm gonna either have to listen to this video later, or like there's nothing really in this article that says he said anything that interesting. So I'll forget that. And so now we have hit the big news. I've buried the lead. Certainly, maybe I shouldn't actually bury the lead. Vivendi decided to sell off all of its holding in Ubisoft, and apparently agreed not to buy any stocks of Ubisoft for 5 years. So for probably, it feels like a decade, Vivendi has been on the edge of being almost legally required to initiate a hostile takeover of Ubisoft. Vivendi is a very interesting company because Napoleon set up Vivendi as a monopoly in France for the canal boats. So it was this monopoly Napoleon set up for his cousin or somebody. So just pure crony capitalism. And the company has just been around for so long and gotten bigger and bigger. And they're this giant megacorp that owns a lot of movie companies, a lot of movie licenses, a lot of music, a lot of TV. I don't think they have anything too much in video games. So you could see why this giant corporation would potentially want to buy Ubisoft, which is another giant corporation. And while in most instances it would be just like yay if Ubisoft got bought out, because up until very recently with Assassin's Creed Origins, Ubisoft was doing a terrible job with some of their games. Like Black Flag was good, Syndicate wasn't, Unity really wasn't that good either. Maybe I got that backwards. Maybe Unity was slightly good and then Syndicate was awful. But honestly, Vivendi is way worse than what Ubisoft is. Vivendi would have only made it worse. They only really ever had any interest in owning Ubisoft to make more money. They never really had any desire or reason to support the industry or make good games. And Ubisoft, going through this huge potential hostile takeover throughout the years, has hopefully, and they seem like they have at the very least, adopted this new attitude that they actually want to support their creators and make good content and take more time and not just annualize it. A significant reason why there were annualized releases of Assassin's Creed is because Ubisoft needed to constantly make money every quarter. That way Vivendi couldn't purchase the shares of Ubisoft for cheaper. Because if there was ever a quarter in which Ubisoft would announce not the expected amount of profits or higher, share values would go down and people would sell off. They would sell it directly to Vivendi, who's constantly trying to buy it. So who bought the shares that Vivendi had? Well, in a weird way, Vivendi is going to sell the 30,489,300 shares of Ubisoft for $81 per share, netting roughly $2 billion, which is higher than what Ubisoft share prices are trading at $72 a share. Let's take the victory. I'd like to get to at least rank 21 before the end of the month. If we can be so kind as to get to rank 21. This could also mean that Vivendi is eyeing a different acquisition. If one was to speculate, I wouldn't be surprised if Vivendi tried to buy Fox, because Fox and Disney, Warner Brothers and all of that, I think that was blocked. So there might be an attempt here to free up capital so Vivendi can go after somebody else, or just build up their own base and try to compete with the growing Disney now that Disney owns Lucas Arts and Star Wars. Let's see. Yeah, Ubisoft share prices surged earlier this month to 72, but then dipped to 62.24 in February. Let's see. They say the evolution of our shareholding is great news for Ubisoft. It was made possible thanks to the outstanding execution of our strategy and the decisive decision of Ubisoft talents and players and shareholders. Like, I don't know what they're really patting themselves on the back, or how they accomplished this. Did they say there was going to be some kind of poison pill provision added? Which the poison pill provision is that it lets a company effectively print as many shares as they want to avoid a takeover, and the more shares getting printed lowers the value of all the shares that have already been released and given out. So it devalues a company, which is why it's called a poison pill. The Vivendi exit also sees new investment in Ubisoft by the Chinese gaming giant Tencent and the Ontario Tencent's pension plan. Tencent acquired 5.6 million shares, but they're not a voting shares or preferred stock, I don't believe, and so they're not going to vote, and they're not going to have a seat on the board. However, that might change pretty quickly. Like, it wouldn't be completely unheard of for this to be just the first step in a longer plan. Play all those cards. And I doubt the Ontario teachers pension plan is going to care. It's a little odd to see the difference in numbers. Tencent, giant Chinese company that's owned at least in part by the Chinese government, bought 5.6 million shares. The Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, which must be a pretty big pension plan, bought 3.8 million. It's about half. All of them also at 66 pounds or euros per share. They didn't translate it that dollar value to US dollars that time. The deal will not grant Tencent a place on Ubisoft's board of directors, and agreed that it will not transfer its shares or seek to increase its stake in the company, thereby ensuring Ubisoft doesn't end up trading one undesired suitor for another. So a lot of financial there, but this is very good news for Ubisoft. Let's hope and cross our fingers that they will take this good news and make good games with it, and not blow their extra chance. There's a game called Sword with Sauce that is mixed. 44% of the 103 user reviews, recent reviews, are positive, so not very good. Came out March 20th, and it's by a developer called Diatomic Games. I thought on a very brief first look at this that this might have been just a rough first prototype of something that might be kind of good. It looks pretty similar to Super Hot, so the idea I see here is a Super Hot with a potential larger selection of weapons and adjustable weapons, and not being puzzle based as Super Hot is, and being more just open world. Now the rooms and buildings are just big empty areas. There are no textures on practically anything, but it does seem like it's playing fluidly. So I would have given this game a little bit more of a test. It's called Sword with Sauce Alpha, so the alpha is the part that would have caught my attention. And see, they want $6. However, now that I scroll down, here's the problem. March 20th, Sword with Sauce is no longer in development. Apologies to everyone who supported the project during its alpha, and we're excited to be taken further, but due to a number of reasons, I have decided to retire the project. As a lot of you know, let's see, read more, as we're still just trying to play cards. I need like 2 more priest cards, and that's it. As a lot of you know, there's no team behind Sword of Sauce. It's just me, Diatomic Muffin. Moving forward, it became clear that in order to accommodate a lot of the things I wanted for Sword with Sauce, like multiplayer, linear missions, better enemy AI, there would need to be a team and a much bigger budget, which just wasn't possible, unfortunately. The other main reason was that I became a severe loss of focus for the project. There became a severe loss of focus for the project, and the quality wasn't living up to what I wanted. Yeah. So this is inherently the problem with half of these games and these alphas, is it takes a special type of person to finish programming a video game. Not everybody can do it. Most people can't do it. And it's easy to start a project and not finish it. The question is, why is this still on Steam? Let's see. As of this date, Sword of Sauce has been released from early access. The game will still be purchasable from Steam and will still appear in your library just as before, but it will now just be called Sword with Sauce. The decision only means that there will be no more updates to the current game. Sorry again. So he's still selling the game. He's still willing to take money. He's just not going to work on it anymore. Let's see.
Is someone injured?
Let's see. And Like, you don't even have to read the negative reviews for this game. This is just a not interested game. It's going to be mixed reviews always. Like, I don't feel like I could expand my coverage of games to include good ideas or good alphas of games that never went anywhere else. And even if I was going to do that, I wouldn't do it from some random person who is like never going to finish it. Like, this person, Diatomic Games, self-publisher, like he's just not, he's not going to be a big player. He's not going to come out and make the next greatest game of the year thing. He's probably never going to make another game worth mentioning, or doesn't make another game at all. The old price was $2.99, and now he's asking for $6. So he's doubled the price on an unfinished project. Here's a negative review that's pertinent. This guy made over $700,000, and he says he needs a bigger budget. He claims he couldn't afford a bigger team. This is the biggest effing cash grab ever. F you, dude. I'm gonna say that was helpful. So, avoid at all cost. Allegedly, this guy had $700,000. When I look at this game, $700,000 was not put into this. Do not fund or kickstart games. Do not buy games in early access. Do not play Sword with Sauce. Next story I have, the PC Gamer says the Stanley Parable creator wants his next game to defy the rules of games. Which is not really saying too much, because the Stanley Parable and the game after the Stanley Parable that he made both also had very narrative, meta textual narratives going on. So that seems to just be his niche. Meta commentary on video games. I plan on playing his second game. I've already covered the Stanley Parable. I'll probably play the third game too. The first ever GDC Film Festival is on right now, and because of that they have a Steam sale going on where you can get both the videos and, I believe, the games that are being mentioned on sale. Unfortunately, the discounts for the Games Developer Conference aren't great. They might be decent if you were going to buy these games anyways, or you had some very specific need to cover games that were being mentioned or nominated. Like Shinsun IO is 33% off for $10.04. I can understand that. Or if maybe getting over it with B'nai Fadi, it's 20% off at $6.40. Maybe that's the best discount you could have gotten at this point. Echo is 40% off at $15, and some of these games are not off discounted much at all. Cuphead is 15% off at $17. So not a ton of things on sale, because it's just in games that were nominated, and not a ton of ton of great discounts. It's not like a Steam summer sale or anything like that where you're going to have significant savings. And right now may not be the time for you to spend money. Maybe they're trying to get you to spend your tax returns. You gotta be careful, certainly, about stores and sales. They'll try and have a sale every day of the week and drain your bank account. Make you buy a lot of things you weren't gonna buy in the first place. I think I've probably played enough cards. But since we're here, let's do this, do this, do this, and then end the turn. PC Gamer has an article review for a game called Octahedron, giving it a 79 review, which is slightly above average. They say Octahedron gets more mileage than you'd think out of the ability to summon platforms beneath your feet. The game does not look good to me at all. I have like no interest in it at all. So I'll leave it at that. Is this guy gonna kill me or not? Looking at a game called Dead Dust. It came out March 21st. 0 views. It's a top-down twin stick shooter. I think I've already talked about this game actually and didn't find it interesting. Some of these games feel like they get published and then they get republished and then they get republished, and you see like five different release dates or issues. Yeah, there's nothing here unless you just want to play a top-down twin stick shooter game in a Western environment with bad graphics for $2.25. Looking at a game called Bunny Hop now. It came out March 21st. No reviews. It looks like a platformer game, something you might like, a Sonic game. You have a double jump and platforming, and you're supposed to be jumping around collecting all the floating carrots that are the characters collecting. I don't see any enemies here, but I do see some black spots that feel like they are some kind of pop-up just happened as they were recording the footage, either an achievement in a weird looking direction or yeah, it seems like he's either getting calls on some kind of Skype or getting achievements. Yeah, there's nothing here. While the animation and graphics look alright for an 8-bit pixel kind of art, I imagine those might just be cut and pasted pre-made assets, and the rest of the game just seems like you're hopping around trying to collect things. A simple platformer about a rabbit which needs to collect carrots in order to move to the next level. Let's see. It's selling for 31% off. I mean 40% off for 60 cents. And it's such a simplistic, looks like an asset flip game that I would not buy it for 60 cents. I wouldn't buy it for any amount of money. And we already talked about that. Now I'm looking at a game called Grim Castle Battle Tales. It has one review, came out March 21st. And it seems like it's an attempt to do something like Darkest Dungeon, except for instead of any kind of random elements to Darkest Dungeon, it seems more like you're playing the game War, where you just play the top, you play a card and whichever character has the higher number does damage to a life bar, as you have two characters on the other side with health and life. I could kind of see a gameplay mechanic built around that, but the graphics don't look good on this. This looks like a weird combination of two asset flip games in the same breath. Let's see, it's described as a card game with RPG elements in a dark fantasy world where demons and people live side by side. It's already here, and you can finally enjoy it. Oh, if you find any bugs, make sure to tell us about them. I hope you enjoy the game. The one review is negative. I really wanted to like this game because I'm a big fan of card-based RPGs, but it's just too much missing from the game to be likable. So there's no real campaign per se. You pick one of 3 starting characters and basically just battle through 15 opponents to complete their story. There is a little bit of a story right up in the description of the enemy. There's almost no character customization other than the points you place in the health, attack, and defense. There's no tutorial for the card games. Basically, after playing several times and dying, you figure out it's basically 3 card spades. Oh, so it's not even war, it's spades. I could see why I was confused there. Spades, if you don't know how to play spades, and I don't know if I really remember how to play spades, it's basically the highest card wins. You have to play a card of the same suit that your opponent played, and whoever wins the hand plays the next card for the next hand, and you can trump and play a spade if you don't have a card of that suit. So there's some large amount of strategy there, but you'd have to get really detailed to explain it. I should probably look for a game called a spades game. Anyways, this game being renamed apparently because it's called Heroes of Fighting 3D down here. It's $7. Like, it's not even the same name. Wow. And it looks like this publisher has put out several bad games, one of which is called Cryptocurrency Clicker, and none of them are reviewed well. All of them are pretty expensive. So avoid Wonderbox games, I would say. Let's see. I'm going to just type in spades into Steam and see what we can find out. Let's see. Yeah, I don't really see any game here in Steam with spades in the name that actually is a spades card game. Interesting. I'm sure there probably is a something that's spades related, but I'm not sure what it would be. There we go. Today's been a slow, low energy day. So because of that, I'm not going to do this. No, I didn't need to do this anyway. So let's move over to the Americas account and just get that Tavern Brawl done, which is probably the most important thing to do right now. Get 2 daily quests done, and then we'll probably in the next recording wrap up everything and maybe play some silent post game show. There's not a ton of news. So Hunter, and Rogue cards. So if I get these 2 done, that's good. There was a watch and learn, and some kind of bug is happening where I seem to be getting more daily quests than I should. However, there's a lot of things changing too. With the new Hearthstone deck tracker app letting me know what the best deck I can have is, and being able, with Hearthstone Replay, I was able to make this mid-range hunter deck, which we can kind of quickly scroll down and see. This is not a deck I built. This is something somebody else built that has a 57.9 something % win ratio. It still requires me to understand and play this deck pretty well, but I want to try that out. Also, this card, the Candle King. This is what you get for beating the Goblins vs. Gnomes dungeon run. Beating that with all 9 of the hero classes. Totally not worth the effort. It took me 200 plus battles in this section doing this to get them all beaten. So just to prove to everybody, we have a crown on all 9 of them now, and I will never play this run again, which kind of sucks because these were fun the first time when they first came out. In comparison, there's in Karazhan these heroic things that would have given you a card back too, where you would have had to beat considerably more bosses. Well, maybe not, because let's see, 1, 4, 7, 10, 13 bosses versus 9 character classes that had to beat 8 things. Actually, I suppose you had to get considerably more wins with the dungeon run mode than you would have to beat the heroic things. However, the heroic people are bigger and more difficult. And there's a heroic class in Karazhan, there's a heroic class in League of Explorers, a heroic class in Blackrock Mountain, and a heroic class in Nixaramas. And I haven't done any of those, and I have really no intention of ever doing any of those. So those card backs are not going to happen. Hunter, and Hunter. I'm not going to reset anything. Therefore, we come over here, choose this, and go. And then I'm going to play 1 game here and then wrap up. There's what can only be assumed a terrible game called Crypto Girl, the visual novel that's been released on Steam March 21st. Developer Nikita Ghost Rush and publisher Ghost Rush Games. The animation on this visual novel is subpar, like watercolor painting. I don't even know how you get this artistic style if you're using a computer, unless you're just actually water painting and then somehow scanning in the water paints. So right now I'm playing a random deck that they gave me for the hunter, not the one that we lined in. This game is 30% off for 69 cents. and the one review is either not in my language. It's not recommended. Surprise, surprise. They need to really do something about people with crypto in their name. They need to keep an eye on it real bad. Seems like this uploader is uploading a bunch of garbage. Loot Box Simulator 2018, Fidget Spinner in Space, Gay World, My Little Bomb, Boy Next Door. Let's see. Just gonna end that turn. Can we flag any of these? Let's see. Let's get into flagging games. There you go. I'll flag it for hate speech. Report. Whether it was really hate speech or not, I don't know. I just figured there's a bad developer making bad games on Steam. Let's get rid of one more of them. And see, inherently, isn't that the issue? Is that I not only would be totally willing to get into a false flagging campaign against games on Steam to get rid of bad developers making bad games, because my main concern on Steam is I want to find good games and I want to play good games. So I'd 100% be willing to just lie. Yeah, that's the problem. Like you've created this hostile attitude in me, Steam has, because there's so little quality control that the only way you can try and get somebody to have any kind of quality control is to flag things. Here's a VR game called The Villa Allison's Diary that has no reviews, came out March 21st. It's part of a 3-game series that requires VR headsets. The Cathedral Allison's Diary, The Hospital Allison's Diary. I don't think any of them are good. Like this is selling for $6 on VR. There's no reviews, but it is violating the rule of don't have dark screenshots. Have at least a few brightly lit sections of your game so that you can show it off and not have things in shadow. It really just looks like a bunch of asset flips in a 3D environment. Let's see. If I did this and then did that and did that. Your Gamer has an article. Wow, did Your Gamer change their website? Seems like they might have. Either that or I'm really zoomed in. Hyperlight Drifter and Nidhogg 2 are heading to the Switch later this year. I believe there are several indie game type things coming to the Switch. Another from Nikki Ghost Rush, the same person flooding the market with garbage. They have another game that they made called Russian Prisoner versus Nazi Zombies. I guess I don't need to flag somebody twice. Either Valve will take care of it or they won't. The stick figure Wild West comedy West of Loathing is heading to the Switch in this this spring. Sorry, I'm getting tongue-tied. Play this. Do this. Hey, another bad looking game, but not as bad looking game, called a low poly first person shooter where you need to find 5 keys and avoid the police army, called Battle of Keys. Looks like somebody made the logo on MS Paint. Asset flip. No surprise here that there are no user reviews. 40% off for 60 cents. I think perhaps the Steam Direct needs a minimal price too. Like, if these games on their initial release can't be sold for $60 or $15. Yeah, $15 seems about right. If you can't put your game out and say for $15 this that's what we want you to pay to begin with. We may put it on sale later, but just day one it's got to be at full price, $15. If you're not capable of selling a game at that price, then you shouldn't list it on Steam. Let's see. Year of the Pirate continues as the fantasy naval combat game Maelstrom is coming to early access in April. I'll watch the trailer there. That being said, the Sea of Thieves beta is happening right now, and Giant Bomb talked about it in the Bombcast a little bit, and it doesn't sound like there's much of a game there. It seems like it might be designed for Twitch streamers, and that's kind of it. You're gonna just have some random actually, I was gonna break up this recording. Just some random NPC players giving you some very random generic quests, unless there's a lot to Sea of Thieves that's not being shown in the beta. On the other hand, Maelstrom looks like it's much more of an action game, much more about playing other fighting and moving very quicker than a boat would probably actually move. So this might be the game for me, Maelstrom, if there is a pirate game that is a game for me. So I'm going to wishlist this in early access, and we'll see what happens there. I just have a tiny bit left of news and a tiny bit left to play, but there's enough to break up the recording. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. If you want to support me, gift me something on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.